Hey, what is up everybody? Welcome back to a brand new video on this YouTube channel here. I hope you're having an amazing morning. In today's lesson, what I would like to talk about is a brand new variable type that just recently got introduced inside of the Swift 5 programming language. And so if you're not fully aware, Xcode 10.2 just finally came out of beta mode, so you can download the new Xcode inside of the App Store and start playing around with the new available features inside of Swift 5.0. And so, like I was mentioning earlier, Swift 5 comes with this new result type variable, and it's actually very useful, and it's going to change the way that you write your Swift APIs from now on. So the way I'm going to illustrate how and why you would want to use this result type is to briefly go over this example of building out this app over here, right? So we have this list view. We have all the courses available inside of this list, such as AppStore, Tinder Swipe and Match, Instagram Firebase, podcasts, and so on and so forth. If you want to watch these courses, you can visit the links in the description below. But for today's lesson, I'm going to show you how we can actually fetch all of this data from this URL right over here. So if you visit api.letsbuildthatApp.com, JSON decodable and courses, you'll come upon this array of course objects, right? So for example, instead of here, we have ID, name, link, image URL, and number of lessons. And this video, I'm going to parse all of this object right here, all of these course objects. I'm going to show you how we used to do it in Swift 4.2, and then I'll briefly introduce why you would want to use this result type and what this new syntax needs to be. Okay, so hopefully that sounds good. Let me copy this URL and go back into Xcode, and I'll write out the brief code inside of this view controller file right over here. You can see I've already spent the time and created our model course object right above. And the way that you normally write out this fetch code is pretty simple if you've done it before. So let's say fetch course JSON, and this is going to be a function right below. So why don't we make it a file private function and fetch course. So fetch courses JSON, and this guy is our function that we need to call, right? So fetch courses JSON. And why don't we just print out 1, 2, 3 just for now, and I'll run this inside of the less simulator just to make sure that we have the 1, 2, 3 being printed out. So we have 1, 2, 3, so that means we're good to go. Now this function right here usually contains a completion block for the first parameter, and you can do this a lot of different ways. So I've seen some different methods of using a success completion and also a failure completion, and the other way that I actually prefer is to use this style right here. So let's say the completion block completes with an array of course objects, right? You don't know that you always get this list back, so you have to make it optional like that. And if something goes wrong during the actual fetch, you might get a potential error. So this is kind of how you handle that use case. And this is actually kind of awkward here. And that's kind of why we would like to use this new result type. But before we get to that, let me kind of write out the little Swift JSON parsing code. And the way you do this is pretty simple. You just want to say let URL string equals URL, or just make this a string and copy and paste the actual URL right here. Just create your URL. So URL, might be typing this out a little bit quick, but you know, this stuff is pretty standard by now. And so once you construct your URL, you want to make sure you call URL session, and this guy has a shared data task with a completion handler. And you just want to pass in your URL right over here. And then for the completion handler, you can just hit enter like so, and you'll get your data, you'll get your response, and then you'll get your potential error. All right, so this is pretty standard code, and make sure to always call .resume over here. And I think that should be okay. All right, looks pretty good. I think this URL right here might look a little bit weird, so let's kind of see. I think we need a let in front of that guy, and all of this code should be good to go now. All right, so let's make sure to fix this with the completion here, hit enter, and you'll get this code, which isn't all that great. So let me just leave that for now. Down inside of here is kind of where you would execute the actual JSON parsing for all of these objects here. And it's actually pretty simple, but before you actually do the decoding and the parsing, you have to check this potential error here and maybe the response as well. But you have to say if let error equals error, and then if this happens, you want to call completion with the actual parameters of nil for no courses, and then the error object like so, and then return. So this is pretty basic, and hopefully you guys have written this before. You want to make sure that this guy is a call type. So I believe you have to write this over here. So arrow, and like that with paren. This way you can get your closure correct. So let me make sure to type out this guy correctly one more time. So hit backspace, completion, enter. You get your courses and you get your potential error like that. All right, so again, pretty standard stuff. You want to make sure this has an escaping on this left side here, and you should be all right. Finally, if this is all successful, you want to write some code that kind of looks like this. So let courses equals, I guess it's JSON decoder and decode. And let's see, course.self, maybe I want the array version instead, like that. And then you want to use the data that's up over here. Let me just use data bang, just to be a little bit simpler here. And then finally, you need to actually try this right here. So if you click on that, it tells you that you need to try the actual decoding. So let me just do this really quickly. And then I'll introduce the actual result type. So cut that, put that in here, catch the potential error like so. So let's just say catch, and we'll call completion again. If there's an error, we'll pass this potential error. So this is the actual JSON error. You can let this guy be a JSON error instead. Maybe this is a little bit clearer, so pass that in here. And then finally, if everything happens correctly, you want to complete with the actual courses from the line above and the nil error object like so. All right, so hopefully this code is looking pretty good. I believe you need to try that there, and everything looks to compile correctly. Last thing I'll do is for the view controller, the completion block here, you just want to say something like if let error equals the potential error, we'll say print out failed to fetch. So fetch courses, and let's just say error like so, I mean. And then down here you can say something like courses dot for each enter course, and let's just print out course dot name. And I'll run this code right now. I believe everything looks okay. The decoding looks fine. And down here, you'll see that we're printing out all the names of the courses from our JSON objects here, right? So AppStore, JSON API, name and name, Instagram. So all that's just being printed down below. And this looks kind of okay. And for the longest time, if you've been using Swift 4.2, this is typically the code that you would write. But the weird thing about this code is that when you're fetching the actual courses and when you're inside of this completion block here, it's kind of ambiguous what's going on, right? So ambiguous situation here, I think there's a extra U in ambiguous, but make sure to correct me if I'm wrong. Basically, you don't know if you have an error and you don't know if you have courses, and you're kind of forced to make sure that you check it here. And so due to the ambiguity of this situation, inside of Swift 5.0 is the brand new result type. And the way you use this is actually a little bit tricky. So let me show you how to type out the syntax here. So the way that you would introduce the result type is instead of using the closure that looks kind of like this here with the course and error type, maybe I'll remove the left side. So instead of using this here, what you want to do is to complete on a result type like that. So it's a value that represents either a success or a failure, including an associated value in each case. So it might be a little bit confusing what that means, but basically, you want to use a result type that has two generics inside of it. So the generic is the actual course array that looks like this here, so course. And then the second generic is just a generic error like that. And you can try to run this now. I believe it should be okay. So with the modification of the completion block, inside of here, what you want to do is you want to complete. And this guy only expects one result type variable now. And so this is actually just one variable. And the way that you do this is in the use case of the error, you want to call .failure with the actual error like that. So you don't really need to make this a weird call with two parameters anymore. Just make sure to call failure. And down here, you don't want to call these two parameters either, so you can say completion, and this is the success case. So .success, and call it with the courses from above. So let me comment that out. And inside of here, you would do something like what we did before with the failure of the JSON error just like so. Let me comment that out. And you can now try to run the code again. However, the problem now is that this completion is also a little bit broken. So instead of making this call here, maybe I'll just comment out all these lines. You can call fetch courses with the JSON, hit enter here. You'll get this result. And what you do with this result is you're actually forced to check the error. And the way this is going to work is you want to use a switch case. So a switch case looks kind of like this over here. So switch, let's get the autocomplete to help us out here. And let's take the switch case here and paste that in here. And the way you actually make this call is to use the switch on the res or the result, and then just do that. The pattern is going to look something like this. So success. And the way that associated values work with these result type enumerations is you can just say let right here and courses like so. And this will give you a handle on all the courses that are coming back from the fetch call. So enter course like that. And this is very similar. So print out course.name does pretty much what we had earlier right here. But the only difference is that the syntax is much easier to read. And in addition to the success, you want to catch the failure as well. So let error, just like that, colon, and we'll just say print out, failed to fetch courses, and just print out the error on the right side. You don't need this weird return statement here. Everything looks good. And I believe since we're catching the success and failure, we don't really need a default case for our switch statement. And so I'll try to run this again. Let's see, fetch is used before. I think I'm missing a brace right here. So let's just close the switch statement off and run the code one more time. You'll see that all the courses are going to be printed out down below, just like what we had before. And again, the reason why you would want to use this result type is you no longer have to deal with this weird situation where you have a completion handler that has two parameters that are potentially nil. Inside of this syntax here is very explicit what's going on, right? You have your result, and in the case of success, you do something. In the case of failure, you do something else. So having this result type is a lot more useful in terms of writing cleaner APIs. The only problem is you have to get used to how to get the actual values outside of your result type using this bit of code here. But aside from that, I think it's a pretty welcomed addition inside of the Swift programming language, in my opinion. Alrighty, everybody, that's going to wrap it up for today's lesson. Hope you found it helpful. If you want to download the source code for all of the things that you saw in today's lesson, you can find the link in the description below. If you want to learn more about how to develop more modern applications inside of iOS using the Swift programming language, make sure to check out the courses available down in the description as well. That's going to be it for today. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye, guys.